Hi everyone, my name's Paul Preobrazhensky. In today's video I'm going to look at management of human resource information systems data and how to take that data about your workforce or your human resources and to turn that using Excel and pivot tables into useful information. What we're going to cover is the creation of the pivot table using position types, then do some cross-tabulation, look at professions against age, gender, length of service and functional groups. We'll take those, we'll copy them into separate worksheets, we'll create some graphs, we'll label those graphs, we'll ensure that we are keeping the data confidential, and then we'll copy them into a Word document. So let's have a look at the data set I'll be using for today. I have manipulated every data field so it is completely anonymous. It's important to maintain the confidentiality of any human resource information system data that you use, and particularly when it's in relation to a workforce that may have small numbers, particularly groups like allied health, who may have one or two professions. Even if you remove their name or employee number, it still may be possible to identify the individual. So let's begin. Here's my data set. My top labels are fairly self-evident: month, facility, section, cost centre, employee number, age range, gender, employment status, cost group and functional group. Let's create our first pivot table. So click in the top left hand corner of your data set, go to Insert, Pivot Table. It will automatically select the range, click OK. You will then find your headers on the right. So first we'll take the cost group, which will give you the profession, and we'll put that into rows. I will take the employee number and put that into values, and you can see that will give me a count of the employees. For this exercise I am going to create a filter over the functional group. So I'll take functional group, I'll drag that into filters. I'll then take the drop down from the filters group, nursing. And here we can now see the categories of nursing, registered nurse being the largest number. So that's how you make the simple pivot table. I'm just going to name this sheet pivot. And then I'm going to add another sheet. I'll rename that nursing count. Go back to my pivot. I will copy those cells which have the data in it. I'll take it to the nursing count sheet and paste it in. Let's move on to the next activity, which is to create cross-tabulation. Cross-tabulation is having two sets of information, one in a row and one in a column. So let's take firstly the functional group of nursing, which we already have up on the screen. And then let's have a look at the gender mix between each of these nursing categories. So I'll grab gender, I'll drag it down to column. What we see here now is two columns have appeared. In the rows we've got nurses, in the columns we've got male and female. And it is not a great surprise to see in the grand total that the gender balance is still skewed towards females in the profession of nursing, with 2,350 female, 623 males. Predominant number of those are registered nurses. Let's take that data set. This I'm going to copy from the rows, the two columns, males and females. I'm not going to include the grand totals. Right click, copy, add a new tab, and paste. I'll name that nursing gender. Back to my pivot. I will take gender out. This time I want to have a look at the age range. So have a look at the age range now. In the columns, I will see that I have in grand total down here, I have the predominant number of my nursing staff 21 to 30, decreasing in the 31 to 40, and that over time. And noting that I only have 8 greater than 70, which I think is probably good. I will copy my whole data set. New sheet. Right click, paste. I will name that by right clicking, rename, nursing age. One final exercise. I'm going to take this down a little lower, and I want to have a filter into looking at my registered nursing group. So I will take the cost group and I'll put that into the filters as well. Here you can see now everything has disappeared. In my cost group, I will scroll down and find registered nursing. I will then remove the age range and I'll put in employee status. And now I am looking at my registered nurses, total count 1,307, and then across in my cross-tabulated rows I have what the employment status of each of those registered nurses is. Casual agency, casual, full-time fixed term, full-time reduced hours, part-time fixed term, permanent full-time, permanent part-time. Largest number you can see, permanent full-time. I'll take my data set, right click, copy, add a new sheet, paste. I will name that RN, registered nurse for short, employment status. So that's the exercise using HRIS information to create pivots and cross-tabulated pivots. Now let's just have a look at creating some graphs out of those. Back to my first one, nursing count. If you just highlight the cells you want to have in your graph, click recommend charts, and you'll get a choice here. Now it's recommended a bar chart here, clustered bar chart. I like the look of the vertical one. Click OK. And what we might do at the same time is sort these from largest to smallest. Click on the chart. I'll relabel it to count of nursing positions, not FTEs, this is just purely positions. Remove the grand total, it seems to skew the graph a little bit. And so here's our first look at nursing positions total count. Now if I was looking at this from a health service manager's perspective, I might look at that and go, registered nurses, yeah, I'm happy with that. Second question is assistants in nursing agency, agency registered nurse. Casual registered nurse appears I have a very high cost workforce. Might be something for me to deal with. Good graph. So now I'll look at the nursing age one. I'll highlight the whole table of data. I'll look at recommended charts. No, I don't really want stacked bar charts or clustered bar charts. What I really need is a line chart to have a look at the trend over the age groups. A chart that shows clusters. Okay, it's okay. You can clearly see that there is a bit of a bump in the 21 to 30, and then your age groups taper off in nursing. But I want to filter here, so I'll click the filter button. I will take all of them off. I really want to have a look at what the grand total is and apply that. So if you have a look at the grand total, and we retitle this to Nursing Workforce Age Profile, it shows a clear picture of a high number of nurses in the 21 to 30, tapering off to 70. Now, when looking at developing a workforce strategy, I might say, hey, it's going to be important for me to ensure that I have the nursing workforce as smooth as possible over the entire age range. I can look at this again. Let's have a look at my registered nursing group. Obviously the largest group, so of importance, and apply that. You can see that got a little bit shallower against the grand total. Putting the two together, I've probably got my largest gap in the nursing workforce in that later age group, 31 to 40. So I'd be thinking about maybe that's where I need to be recruiting. Really interesting graph. You should be looking at that one for all workforce groups. Okay, one more. Employment status. Simple graph. Insert recommended charts. Here I like this clustered column for these very simple less than 10 data point charts. Click OK. Take out the grand total. And here you can see permanent full-times, largest proportion, full-time fixed term, large proportion, permanent part-time, large proportion, reduced hours, relatively small, casual, small, agency casual, even smaller, which is pretty much the normal profile. I'll rename that chart by clicking on the chart title to Registered Nurses Employment Status. So the final exercise, I'll just take a couple of these graphs and put them into a Word document. Open up a blank Word document or the workforce report that you're working on. It's probably titled Centered. I'll go back to my Excel document. I'll go first. I want to have a look at the introductory count by nursing workforce. I'll copy that, go to my Word document, and then I'll paste it. I like to paste it as pictures so that doesn't take up too much size. Count of nursing positions. My document, I will then have a look at my nursing age profile. Copy that Word document. Line spaces, paste the picture, put it on a new page, and finally my employee status. Okay, so that's how you can use some human resource information system data in Excel and in pivot tables and cross-tabulated pivot tables to create useful information that you can use in your workforce reports for your health service. Keep in mind, keep your information confidential, keep low numbers out of your reports. If you need to group those up, use a sum function and rename them as a general, such as in the small numbers here, assistant in nursing, casual and agency might be an appropriate way to group up. For the students of University of Western Sydney, I hope this is useful in giving you some insight in how to do the exercises for your assignments. Any questions, please let me know. Thanks again for listening.